Premier League referee Graeme Scott. Yep, hung up the whistle at the tail end of last season. He has moved away from refereeing. He had a background in journalism. He's now writing regular pieces for the Daily Telegraph. Wrote a very interesting piece last month about being VAR in a Premier League game, and it sort of talked us through in that piece the sort of how it works. And it didn't sound like a lot of fun. So as referee and man in charge of VAR, Graeme joins us now. Good afternoon, Graeme.
Hello, Graeme.
Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
How'd you feel? I asked you first thing, do you miss it? It doesn't sound like you do miss it.
No. I miss being on the field because being a referee is actually far more enjoyable than anyone ever seems to realise. You've got the best seat in the house. You're in and amongst all these fantastic players. You see the skill. You can be in the middle of a great game that kind of goes from one end to the other and no one notices you there, and you just got this. It's like getting a free ticket. But off the field stuff is no fun. Carl Walker did an interview actually for the Telegraph not so long ago where he was saying, I play football for free, but I need to be paid for all that goes with it. And refereeing is very similar to that. You bit on the field, I never found particularly stressful. There was the odd moment it might be, but not generally. You're in control. You've got cards. You've got some power. You can control the game. You know, it's your job to control the game. But off the field, you can't control anything. And then the noise now it's insane, really. It's almost unbearable. And it becomes an extremely challenging role. And then layer on top of that being a VAR, as I tried to convey in the piece, being a VAR is utterly unenjoyable. Yeah. And while I can already hear in the background your listeners tuning up their miniature violins, well, he's not there to enjoy it, mate, to get the decisions right. What we want is a bit of consistency and all that stuff. I get that. I don't expect it to be enjoyable, but it is utterly unenjoyable. So, you sit there. I did a game at Brighton a couple of seasons ago when Alexis McAllister was still there. He scored probably the best strike from outside the box I've ever seen. And you just put your head in your hands and think, I could have to chalk this off now. And you look at the replays. Oh no, his shoulder looks like it might be off. Oh, yeah. And you draw these kind of tiny lines. Think, oh, this is going to end badly. I can tell. Yeah. And you end up going, oh, I'm really sorry. I have to disallow this goal that everyone's loved and the crowd have gone mad. And you spend minutes hoping that it's all right, and it's not. And there is nothing about that any of us take any pleasure from. And yet you get the impression, oh, it's all about you, is it? No, we don't want it to be about us. We want it to be about the game. It's horrible.
Yeah. It's interesting that, because you're right, a lot of people would say, oh no, the refs, they can't wait. They want to be front and centre. They want to chalk that off. Haven't they done a great job? But it's very interesting to hear you say that's the last thing you want to do.
Last thing you want to do.
Yeah. Did you prefer life before VAR as a referee? Did you prefer refereeing games when there was no technology, maybe apart from on goal line technology?
So I would say on the field, no, because you occasionally made a mistake that decided the game. Yeah, and that's the last thing you need to drive home. Thinking, if only someone had been in my ear before we kicked off again to say, look, you just stuffed up there, put it right. Yeah, that was a horrible feeling. Driving home from games like that, and it didn't happen to me very often, but of course it did. And
what was the worst example of that, Graeme? Was there one that haunts you a little bit, and why did it happen? I guess
I can't remember now. I mean, we're going back 6 years now. Yeah. There would have been, of course. Yeah, but and of course a lot of those games would have been in the Football League where there's no VAR anyway. Sure. But I do remember a game at Bristol City where I disallowed a goal for what I thought was a push, and it's not even. The game finished. I think it finished 0-0, and they would have, obviously, Bristol City. It was the ball went in the goal.
Do you know you've got? I mean, they always say ref knows when they got it wrong because of the reaction of the players. Is that true, or are they all just great actors?
The micro reaction that you get in the moment tells you quite a lot. Yeah, and the players can't. They're not that clever. I mean, they're not as daft as people think. Nothing like, actually. They're almost all of them are very intelligent. Yeah. Not always the very articulate, but very intelligent. But yeah, you can get a lot from the micro reaction, and it can be helpful. And you get a little bit of that from the crowd as well. You can tell from an instantaneous response. Yeah. But then anything that happens after that, is always we better make sure that we create this impression by holding our face.
Yeah. And on that note, people often say that it would be good if more ex-pros footballers went into refereeing. Do you think that would help? Do you think that would help having an ex-pro in the VAR box?
To my knowledge, there's no barriers to people doing this.
No,
There hasn't
but
been
I mean,
150 years.
Yeah.
There are no barriers to ex-players becoming refs. The other part is we did all play. I mean, I played a bit of semi-pro.
Yeah.
A lot of the
You were a keeper, weren't you?
I was a goalkeeper. Yeah. Not the best, but occasionally people pay me to play. We've got several Premier League refs. We're in academies or at that sort of standard.
Yeah.
I'm certainly playing for representative football. They're not non-footballers.
No.
Who come at this with sort of geekish sort of I can rather enjoy this job.
Yeah.
But that's often what's put across, and people say
Never played the game.
never
Never
played the game.
But that plays to this. Okay, so people say all we want. This is really simple, right?
Yeah.
This is the populist view of the world. If there's a complex problem, let's come up with a simple solution. All we want is consistency. All we want from you is consistency. Okay. All right, I can do that for you. This is what consistency looks like. Oh, no, we don't like that. You're all robots. You don't understand the game. You need to show a bit of common sense. So,
Yeah.
So that's a bit like when the beginning of the season, there'll be a lot of new directives, and then all of a sudden, 4 people will get sent off
I
for
think
pushing in the box.
A good example of that, holding in the box.
Sure.
Yeah.
You'll see some, and they're given either the goals chalked off or not, and then in the same afternoon, at the same moment in the same game, you'll see
Fulham, Man United.
you'll see a completely different decision.
They're
So,
different incidents.
Yeah.
I mean, holding in the box is a nightmare for all sorts of reasons. First of all, anything that happens before the ball's in play, you can't penalise.
Yeah.
And then I understand. I mean, I'm a fan of a game. I don't want to see the ref walk in and go, you two, stop that, cut it out.
Yeah.
But if they don't do that, then of course something then happens and end up with a bigger decision. So we try and prevent stuff. Once the ball's in play, you've got 16 players in an area about, I don't know how many square metres it is, but it's 16 by 16. So do the maths. It's a couple of 100 square metres of turf, all converging on this one space. One pair of eyes, because your assistant's miles away over there. Fourth official's being battered by the benches over there.
Yeah.
So you look at it and you think, right, there's a player ended up on the deck there, but more often than not, you watch it back, you find, well, actually, he started it and like, just overreacted.
Yeah.
Kind of what happens with Mount and Bassey at Fulham.
And we also had that situation with the goal that Tottenham scored at West Ham. Jared Gillett was the referee and chalked that one off, where a West Ham player pushes another Tottenham player into and it all concertinas, and a perfectly good goal, it seems, is chalked off.
Yeah, and I think my take on that was probably it would have been better just to allow the goal to stand. And if there's a really obvious holding offence, the VAR can pick that up.
But Jared gave it in the moment. I personally think he was guessing, but you couldn't have had a clear view. But he decided it was not a goal. Yeah. And in that position, the VAR's not going to overrule it. And people
unlikely.
say, why not get involved? If it's the wrong decision, you're quite able to get involved in some decisions. Why are you not getting involved in that one?
Well,
that's also down to consistency.
It is, but then it's interesting how the debates about VAR generally are we want less of it, until we don't get the decision we want, and now we want more of it. So make your
I'm
mind
aware
up.
of that, yes.
And
it's a good point.
The targets that we are set by the game, by the Premier League, by the clubs, and by the expectations that are set by the panel that review the big decisions, they keep changing.
Yeah.
So one week they want that, and the next week, no, we don't want that one. And over the course of a season, you can say, well, I've got this. Remember that one earlier in the season where we gave this handball? Yeah, but this is exactly the same, isn't it? And now the panel's saying, no, we don't. We wanted it then, but we don't want it in this game now.
Yeah.
And we don't get consistency in terms of our feedback. So we end up kind of picking our way through, like I used to, but they still do, picking their way through what the game expects. And that isn't consistent. That does change, and context is everything.
Sure.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.